When we talk about the flow state, there are two aspects where we can enter into the topic. So one is more like an umbrella overview, I would say, and it's about the approach to life. It's not about exactly how to enter into the flow state. We will get into that in a minute, but one is simply this mindset where you always have the intention to the flow somewhere in the subconscious, and you're nurturing your flow personality. So it's like a whole outlook on the world and the situations around you. And I think this is really important when we are talking about the flow state, to understand that it's not just like these short moments that enter your life and then you exit from the flow state. It's always a more holistic approach that I am trying to teach and raise awareness of. So, and then on the other side, there are these tools, techniques, flow science, and it's all about the peak performance, the optimal experience, optimal human experience, if you will, where we feel really good, where we need to kind of satisfy certain conditions that need to happen before we are able to enter into the state of flow. And I think understanding these two kind of approaches or aspects is the first step when we want to kind of explore this mysterious and exciting world of the flow state. So usually I teach people that are interested in the topic about the flow techniques that we use, and also the conditions that need to happen, because before we leverage or we kind of enjoy the experience of flow, we need to understand those conditions, because it's going to be much easier for us to enter into the flow state on demand. Because here we are not talking about these random moments of peak states. We are talking about a strategy, about how to actually plan our moments of peak performance, high performance, and sustain them as long as possible. Of course, this takes time, and as I mentioned, the strategic approach is something that then yields fruit if you are committing to it, and with that I'm connecting it straight to the flow personality that I mentioned at the beginning. So what is this concept of the flow personality? It's basically a term that we came up with within the flow code framework, that you kind of nurture this mindset and approach to life where you always have intention to the flow somewhere in the back of your head, and you train your muscle, you train your brain to always find these opportunities, and also to be strategic about which opportunities make sense to leverage them into into the state of flow, because it doesn't really make sense that we would try to enter into the state of flow in just about every situation that we face in our lives. So for example, specifically, we are prone to enter into the state of flow when we are doing something. So it's a very activity-based thing. And if you understand that, then it's also clear that usually we do not enter into the state of flow while we are chilling on the sofa. We will most likely be entering into the state of flow while we would be doing something, where there would be a certain challenge in front of us, or activity that we enjoy to do, and that would then kind of pull us into, of course, taking into account that we have to have a focused mind, not scattered around 100 tabs open, and getting notifications and distractions and multitasking. That is definitely something that cannot happen. And if we understand that, we need to be sharply focused on the activity that we are doing. We also need to have a certain level of skills and experience in doing or tackling that challenge or task in front of us, because if not, then we will likely feel frustrated or overwhelmed if we will not have sufficient skills. On the other hand, if our skills are, over the challenge, or like it's not demanding enough for us to motivate us, then we will be bored, and also we will procrastinate because it will just not be interesting enough for us to tackle that challenge. So that balance challenge is a very important aspect of these conditions that need to happen. And then, of course, you have to have the environment. Either it's like a group that you are in, it has to be kind of calibrated on the same level. Otherwise, there's no chance that if you do not feel safe or relaxed in the group, that you will have these moments of the flow. But also, if you're alone, the environment is something that can potentially trigger you into the flow, where it can be immediate environment, such as desktop setting, or if you are somewhere outside, most likely surrounded by nature, or in a different settings. So then experiencing the world, obviously through your eyes, through our senses, this we call deep embodiment, meaning that obviously we interact with the world through our senses, through our bodily senses. So those kind of give us then immediate feedback. So we are doing something, we get feedback. If we are, how is it going? We are doing it good, we are doing it bad. We need to adapt. How we need to adapt? Do I have sufficient knowledge? Am I enjoying this? What can I tweak in order for me to enjoy it even more? So this kind of immediate feedback and deep embodiment are very important aspects of entering into the state of flow, and then also staying into the state of flow. And as I mentioned briefly a few moments back, it's these triggers that are actually then helping us enter into the state of flow. And those triggers might be very different based on who you are, how you are as a person. Some of the people get more triggered by their environment, maybe by some kind of senses, as in physical senses, some smell, something that's visually in front of you, something that touches you, or you touch something that can trigger you. Or it can also be a cognitive trigger, so meaning something that you kind of recall in your mind. Most often it's a flow recall trigger. So you remember a situation in your past where you were in the flow, and you remember how it felt. So based on that feeling that you kind of recall back into your mind and body, then it will be easier, or it will trigger us into getting back into the flow. And sometimes it can be lower intensity, and the more times you're doing it, the more intense these feelings in general will get of the flow experience. It's as I said, it's like training a muscle. So I hope this kind of insight, or the basics of flow and flow state on demand is something that sparked your intention and interest. So if you want to know more, hit that subscribe button, and I'll be doing much more of this type of content.